The U.S. Embassy in Myanmar reports troop movements in Yangon and tells its citizens to shelter in place hours after hundreds of thousands take to the streets in another anti-coup protest. The United Kingdom hits a major vaccination milestone. 15 million people, almost a quarter of the country's population, have received their first shot of vaccine against COVID-19. And voters head to the polls in Kosovo in an election that could see an anti-establishment party come out on top. Thank you for joining us here on France 24. The U.S. Embassy in Myanmar is reporting that there are troop movements in the city of Yangon. It also warns of possible telecommunications cuts overnight. This comes after hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets this Sunday for a ninth consecutive day of anti-coup protests. A media outlet based in northern Myanmar says 5 journalists covering a protest in the city of Myit Kiena have been arrested. Let's go to London now to speak with Wainin Puinton, a Myanmar activist who works for Burma Campaign UK. Thank you for being with us. First of all, your father was arrested by authorities almost 2 weeks ago. Do you know where he is and how he's doing?
No, he was arrested on 1st of February during the coup, and until now we have no idea where he is or his condition. A few other activists were arrested with him as well, and we still have no news about them at all.
Do you know what he was charged with, why he was arrested?
No, he was just taken from our house 5:30 in the morning. He was told that he needs to come with the military uniform people. And since then, we have no news about him, and he hasn't been charged. He's just being detained unlawfully by the military.
I'm sure you've been following the reports of troop movements in Yangon this Sunday evening. What do you think this suggests?
It's very troubling. We are worried that there would be, every night the military is arresting people across the country, and we are worried that this means they will arrest more people tonight, and there will be a crackdown. And of course, it's reassuring that the international community is watching, and we receive statements from embassies across, different embassies in Yangon issuing that they are watching the situation. But while they are watching, all these situations in the country has escalated, and we need, the Mail Line doesn't care about statements or words. He doesn't care about whether the international community is watching or not. He cares about action. So that's why we are asking for international community to support and take action against the military.
So the U.S. Embassy in Myanmar also warned people that they should expect telecommunication cuts overnight. Have you personally been able to get in touch with anyone in Myanmar in the past couple of hours?
I was able to get in touch with my family about 3 hours ago, but until then, I haven't tried. There is a report going around that the internet will be cut from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. Myanmar time. So, of course, we are worried that there will be mass arrest during the night when the internet is down as well.
As we've mentioned, this Sunday was the 9th consecutive day of protests in the country. What do you think this says about the determination of the protest movement?
People are very, very strong, and they are asking for democracy and freedom in the country. They are risking their lives. They are going out and not knowing whether they will be arrested in the evening, and they are going out without knowing whether the army will attack them or not. So they are very brave for doing so. But again, that's why, they are asking for international support and help, because they can't do it on their own. And it's great encouragement to receive statements of condemnation from the international community. But in the end, what they need to do is to take action against the military so that they can support the people inside the country.
Well, that was going to be my next question, actually. You mentioned that it's good that they're getting statements. You mentioned that more action needs to be taken. But what kind of concrete action might that be from the international community? I mean, you said that statements, that the regime in Myanmar doesn't really care about statements.
Yes, so we are asking for a wide range of action, because if you look at from the start, first of February until now, Mail Line is using every tool he has to oppress people inside the country. So the international community can use many tools as well. So, for example, sanctioned military companies, hit them very hard because they care about money. So if you sanction military companies, they will take the international community seriously. And also there are other action like diplomatic pressure. And of course, very important thing is the arms embargo to stop, weapons going in the country. So there are so many, a wide range of action that the international community can be using and doing. But at the moment, they are monitoring the situation and issuing statement. And actually, it's not very helpful to our people in Burma who are risking their lives for human rights and democracy.
All right, Wainin Puinton, a Myanmar activist for Burma, UK, thank you very much for your time. And of course, we hope you hear back from your father very soon. The United Kingdom has hit a significant milestone in its fight against COVID-19. More than 15 million people have received their first dose of vaccine. That's 22% of the country's population. There are now more and more calls to begin to ease some of the strictest lockdown measures. Here's France 24's Bénédicte Paviot with more from London.
It is widely recognised that this historic vaccine rollout across the United Kingdom is indeed a success. At least one dose of a COVID vaccine has been given to people across the United Kingdom, 15 million people. Now, that was a target, a very clear one that the government had set itself, and it is on target to reach that. Tomorrow, Monday. So Boris Johnson, the UK Prime Minister, has described this as, quote, a significant milestone and an extraordinary feat. And it is quite extraordinary. Now, let's be clear. This involves the top 4 groups identified as the most vulnerable, the ones who have the most to lose, indeed, their very life, if indeed they become infected with COVID-19. They account for about 88%, it is thought, of deaths in the United Kingdom. And let's remember that that death toll is very high. It's almost now 117,000 people. So as that success is marked, the great pressure now on the government is indeed to give a firm date. Certainly some Tory MPs want it by the end of April, of an easing of the lockdown here in England, the third one we've had in 1 year, and the very severe confinement restrictions across all 4 nations of the United Kingdom.
Voting is underway in the Spanish region of Catalonia in what polls suggest could be an extremely close regional election. The socialist government in Madrid is hoping to put an end to the pro-independence majority in parliament. Separatists, meanwhile, hope to not only maintain that majority, but also break the symbolic 50% barrier in favor of pro-independence parties. Opinion polls suggest turnout could be much lower than usual, though, with COVID-19 still a major concern in the region. Let's take a listen now to some of the voters who made their way to polling stations on Sunday morning.
Con las medidas de seguridad que están tomando y con los controles que han habido, para mí es una jornada pues como otra cualquiera, dentro de la excepcionalidad, por supuesto. Sí.
No tinc cap por i em sento segura de venir. Veig que les condicions que hi ha són molt idònies. Vull dir que estic molt convençuda i molt bé.
Tengo cierto miedo y cierto reparo. Lo que pasa es que es un deber cívico y por lo tanto pues vengo a votar. Pero creo que no es lo más adecuado. En tal y como está el tema del COVID, no es adecuado convocar estas elecciones así.
There is another European election going ahead this Sunday. Voters in Kosovo are electing a new parliament. Opinion polls suggest an anti-establishment party could win, but whether it would have enough votes to get an outright majority is uncertain. That party has campaigned on pledges to fight corruption and to adopt a no-compromise stance in the dialogue with Serbia. And according to a recent exit poll, that anti-establishment party might have gotten around 42% of the vote. But meanwhile, here's the atmosphere in one polling station in the capital, Pristina.
Ndryshim për mirësim të kushteve, edhe punësimin e trive, edhe gjithçka me shku në rregull.
Me pat punësime, diçka ma mirë për popullin tonë, po se di çfarë valoj. Po s'po besoj se s'po la marr kërkonis, po çfarë.
Faktiska njerëz punësimi njerëzve, korrupsioni mu hjekën, me pasën mjekësia me qenë më e furnizuar.
France 24's Laurent Rouy is in the capital of Kosovo. He joins us live. Laurent, tell us a bit more about this anti-establishment party. Why is it so popular this election?
Well, this party is called Self-Determination, Vetëvendosje in Albanian. It's an opposition party that has been growing for the last years on an agenda against corruption and for the creation of jobs, openings of school and opening of job opportunities in hospital. Vetëvendosje, or Self-Determination, criticizes very much the previous governments. It is important to remember that since the end of the war in 1999, the power has been held by former KLA fighter commanders, always with almost non-stop in this way of ruling. So they installed corruption, they installed party employment, and also some link and connection with organized crime. This is enough for the population, and apparently this will be a landslide victory for this self-determination party. I was in an election in a polling station recently, and it's packed with people. Everyone is speaking about the time for change. Some are speaking about a possible historical day. And in the premises of this party, they are expecting as much as 900,000 voters for them. When one recalls that the population in Kosovo is 1.7 million, it means a lot. It could be one of the biggest success for a political party, a single political party in the recent history of this young country, Kosovo.
Laurent, at home, priorities are clear. They're about fighting corruption and creating more jobs. But where do the parties stand when it comes to dialogue with Serbia, even though it's been 22 years since the end of the war?
The point is that the leader of this party, Albin Kurti, has a very harsh stance against Belgrade and against Serbia for one symbolic reason. First, because in the time of the war, in the time of the ruling of Slobodan Milosevic, Albin Kurti was in jail in Serbia, and he still obviously reminds this very vividly. He says that Kosovo as a country has to turn towards neighboring Albania, and it has to force Serbia to accept its independence. Let's recall that Serbia has not yet recognized the independence of Kosovo. For Belgrade, Kosovo is still one of their former lost provinces. So, of course, the international community will put a lot of pressure on both Belgrade and Pristina to restart this negotiation process. Angela Merkel, Emmanuel Macron, Joe Biden said that recently they want the negotiations to resume. But let's see on which condition this may happen, because the condition that will be set by Albin Kurti if he wins the election tonight will be most probably very harsher than in the previous period, and it's unlikely that Belgrade would easily cope with this new situation.
France 24's Laurent Rouy reporting to us live from Pristina in Kosovo. Laurent, thank you very much. Health authorities in Guinea say the country is in the midst of an Ebola epidemic. The Western African nation has recorded 7 cases of the virus. 3 of the people infected with the disease have now died. The World Health Organization says it is sending a rapid assistance team to help authorities. The cases mark the first known resurgence of the virus in the region since the pandemic killed more than 11,000 people between 2013 and 2016. Let's listen now to the head of Guinea's health agency, who has more on the origins of this outbreak.
Un de nos citoyens qui est tombé malade, malheureusement qui a succombé, dont les enterrements ont eu lieu à Guéké à partir du 1er février. Et malheureusement, certaines personnes qui ont pris part à cet enterrement, quelques jours après, ont commencé à eu des manifestations de diarrhée, vomissement, saignement et de la fièvre, dont les premiers échantillons ont été confirmés durant la journée du 12 février. Donc,
The United Arab Emirates have published the first image of Mars taken by their probe that is now circling the red planet. The picture taken Wednesday shows sunlight just coming across the surface of Mars. There you can see Mars's North Pole as well as Mars's largest volcano called Olympus Mons. The volcano measures more than 21,000 meters, which is about 2.5 times more than our Mount Everest. That is your news for now. We'll be back in 15 minutes for another update. See you then.